Yeah. I kick the motherfucking going. Yeah. Live out the 718. It's the motherfucking kid, y'all. What up, y'all? We are back with another episode of the M3L podcast. It's your boy, M3L, and here we are. Now, this week, folks, my guest is this guy's family, like literally family. I know I say that every episode, but this is family. And I wanted to bring him on because I'm sure he got some information that a lot of people are not aware of, and I know it could be helpful for those in our community. So we're not even gonna hold no more punches. Let me introduce to you Mr. Damian Jones. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going? 3M3L family. Appreciate y'all having me on. So yeah, man, I'm Damian Jones. Like Melly said, obviously it's family, you know what I'm saying, cut from the same cloth.
Facts.
Wanted to come on and share a lot of this information and just get down to the brass tacks of things. Just to give a little backstory of myself.
Yeah, please do.
From the South Bronx, born and raised. My parents are from Jamaica, third world country. Shout out to my parents. Basically, my mom, did everything she could, worked that 9 to 5 and put all of her 4 children through school. Came here with nothing but aspirations of living the American dream.
Right.
She did a great job of that. Fast forward in time, did well in high school, played football, was an all-city football player on both sides of the ball.
And
so
what school you
if
went
anybody want to see, I went to Evander Childs in the North Bronx.
Wow. Okay, bet.
You know what I'm saying? So anybody want to see me on that turf, you know what time it is. I still hold. I'm still tied for the touchdown record over there. So you can look that one up. Snapple fact.
That's
But
dope.
yeah, man. Outside of that, I've been working from a young age. Latched onto a mentor, very just something that everybody should do, in our demographic and in our cohort. We should definitely latch on to mentors. But I latched onto a mentor at a young age. He taught me business, and from there, just kind of, skyrocketed. And
Right.
I'm still on the journey. I'm still learning every day.
Right.
Today, my wife and I were serial entrepreneurs. We own several businesses, including our newest venture, which is credit repair, and what's mainly what we're going to talk about today.
Right.
And it's a blessing not only to be able to be in a space where we're able to share information with our community and with people from our demographic, like I said, but
Right.
To be here fast forward in time and to say, I haven't clocked in, or she hasn't clocked in for anybody in over 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Dope.
We've been on this entrepreneur vibe and been doing this for a long time for ourselves. So
That's dope.
Yeah, man. So, to all the kings and queens listening, hopefully this is useful. And let's go.
Yeah, that's what's up. So D, my first question, and this question came up because before I brought you on, I asked a lot of people like some stuff that they wanted to know or didn't know about credit repair. So my first question is, what's the biggest misconception you get from a client when they first come to see you?
I will say one of the biggest misconceptions is that people really think that closing like their oldest credit cards is like okay to do. It's never okay to do. At the end of the day, that's going to affect your utilization. It's going to affect your overall credit limits.
Right.
So let's just put it in perspective, right? If I have 10 cards and they're all $100 a piece, we're simplifying this for the people, right?
Please.
10 cards, $100 a piece. You know what I'm saying? That's $1,000 in cards. And then, somebody comes along one day and say, hey, I want to give you $1,000 card. And you're like, oh shit, I'm about to go to this, this $1,000 card. Let me close, these other 10 cards are with 100 a piece because it really wasn't giving me the credit limit I felt like I deserved.
Right.
What you're doing essentially is you're closing down, the amount of available credit that you have. So a big misconception is, people say, well, I'm not using that card no more. I'm not doing anything with it. I'll close it, being that I'm getting this better credit limit
Right.
over here. But at the end of the day, you're really hurting yourself by closing those old lines. So that's a
Mm,
really big misconception I get. Um, and then, the next one is kind of like, I guess it's like prevalent in our community, because a lot of our older folks, what they do is they just say, well, I don't understand it. I ain't going to do it.
right.
I'm not,
Right.
at the end of the day, I'm not using credit. I pay cash for everything. I get it on the arm, or, et cetera, et cetera. They
Right.
say,
Right.
man, I'm just not going to mess with it. I'm not going to fool with it. So the misconception is, no credit is good credit. And that's incorrect. At the end of the day, it's just like any profession, so if you want to be a great basketball player, you got to be in the gym to shoot the shot, right?
Got to be in the game.
So you got to be in the game. So essentially, when people don't use credit or don't utilize programs or anything with credit involved, you kind of take yourself out of the equation, because you have to have that history. You have to have those trade lines. You have to have that backing that
Right.
kind of says, okay, you're credit worthy. So
Right.
not
Okay.
using it doesn't put you in a lane where they're like, okay, I can evaluate this person and say, well, Damien deserves whatever. Because if I ain't never use it, then you're not gonna say, okay, I'm gonna give this person
Right.
thousands of
So
dollars.
so
So
it's almost like a reference, like if you was going for a job, like I mean, some history that
yeah,
you have and been maintaining some type of credit.
absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
almost like no credit is bad credit.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, bad credit is bad credit, yes. But no credit is also bad credit, because, when you go to get a house or a car,
Okay.
a lot of times, these people they're looking at, your payment history. They're looking at your
Mm,
track record. They're looking at your utilization. They're looking at your mix of credit. They want
mm,
to understand that, you know, when I sit there and give this person a loan for this car, this house, and things of that nature, that they're going to do the right thing with it, that they're not
right.
going to default, So just not having it at all isn't advantageous to anyone that's like seeking something like that.
Right. So just so people know what's good credit and what's bad credit as far as like a number wise. Like you get
Okay.
some people that's like 650, you got people that's like maybe mid 500s. Like
Mm,
what's considered good credit and what's considered bad credit?
that's a good question. In my book, honestly, and honestly, in a lot of people's books and a lot of banks' books as well,
Hmm.
anything less than 670 is probably on the bad side.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But to keep it, all the way 100, anything, credit scores range from 300 to 850.
All right.
That's the highest you can go on credit is 850. You know, um, and then just to be brutally honest, anything from that 580 ish to like 669 is
Hmm.
considered fair credit. You
Okay.
can get some things done. You can get
Right.
some things done. You can get a car probably off of that. You can definitely get a home, especially if your debt to income ratio is where it needs to be and things of that nature.
Okay.
Um, and then outside of that, anything 300 to 579 is considered poor.
Okay.
So just to put it on a scale, but anything over that 670 is more so considered good. And then I would say, you start getting the upward 720, things of that nature, you're looking at very good credit,
Oh,
and
right.
you can get things, and you can go in and sign for a car. So, ever heard them say sign and drive? You can go in and get a car without any down payment in some of those higher
Mm,
credit scores. So I mean, and that just kind of is one of those things that they hold in regard to be able to see if you have credit worthiness.
right. So
Yeah.
like so basically about you say 670 is pretty much is good credit. So about that 600, 620, 630, that's pretty average.
Right. That's considered more so like fair credit. Yeah.
Now I know with what you do, you help like as far as removing things off of your credit, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like because we from the neighborhood. So
Right.
you got them kids who parents put things in their name when they were like babies. Now, like,
Oh my
now
God.
they're adults and this comes back to haunt them. Like,
Right.
how
Right.
can they go about, or is that something that can be removed from your credit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a plethora of examples where, I have clients that come along and they have similar situations to that, being where we from,
Right.
and similar neighborhoods, things of that nature. Parents, they go ahead sometimes and they do that dreadful thing of putting the utility bill under your
Right.
child's name, and sometimes they're not as responsible with it. And what happens essentially is that you pass the burden of bad credit onto your child.
Mm,
And this is one of the things that we want to conquer and overturn. Breaking those generational curses, breaking those generational cycles,
right.
and getting into a point where it's like, okay, we're no longer going to be doing those things. We want to start adding our children to positive, trade lines, and making them authorized users where that's being beneficial to them. But
Facts.
to basically get back to what you were saying, yeah, essentially, we do as a company, we go in and we leverage the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which has been around since 1970,
Mm,
and it allows us to go in on it's a law, for consumers, and allows us to go in on your credit report and basically, challenge anything that's erroneous, obsolete. I've seen a slew of things come off. So yeah, essentially, yeah, utility bill or old utility bill can
right.
definitely be targeted and taken off of the credit if challenged the right way.
Right. Right. So, and I'm just going off what I hear, but
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong in any kind of way. From my understanding, I think after about, I think it's they say I've heard after 7 years,
Mhm.
anything on your credit is just removed.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
I got two questions as far as that. Now, is it removed? And if it is removed, can that hurt you down the line?
Right. Well, so to answer the first part of that question, yes. So after 7 years, technically, um, it's kind of like a statute of limitations kind of thing where
Mm-hmm.
it's beyond like the contract. I could say beyond the date of contract, right? So
Okay.
after the 7 years, what happens is that typically they're supposed to fall off naturally. Sometimes, they'll stay on. They'll stay on beyond 7 years and not supposed to. And this is why, you know, we as people need to call up, we need to check on our credit reports, make sure that we're pulling them often. And we're calling up and saying, hey, this is from 2013. We're now in 2021. This should have been came off of my credit. So
Right.
you want to make sure that you're staying up and up on it and doing your part, as a consumer to be able to protect yourself from that type of erroneous reporting.
Right.
Um, and then just to kind of what was the second part of that question was again, Mel?
Um, if it is removed, can that hurt you down the line?
Right. Um, I would say no because it depends on if it's a negative item.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely shouldn't hurt you. A lot of the positive items, those are the ones you definitely want to do not want to call up about and say, hey,
Right.
remove this. If it stays beyond the 7 years, it is what it is.
Right.
But as far as the negative items, I would say no. A lot of times, just one late payment could affect you, 30 to 70 points on your credit report.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And this is why I tell a lot of people a tip that I learned from my wife. Um, put everything on auto pay if you can. A lot of people like myself, especially getting into this game, you know, we're probably a great providers and can make money and things of that nature. But it comes down to just the onus of being responsible enough to pay those bills on time.
Right.
So I give, like I said, I give that credit. I tip my hat to my wife, not only for that, for many other things. We'll get to that, but just for being able to give me certain tips early on to let me know, okay, bro, you're making the money. Put it on auto pay so you never miss a payment
Right.
because that's one of the most essential things in credit is, on time payments.
Right.
You know, that alone, 30, 40% of your credit, your credit score, essentially. So you definitely want to make sure that every time, when that bill hits and it's supposed to be paid, that you at least paying the bare minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, and me, I just learned this basically from my lady. So, and that's just because now we again the misses, they be
Yeah,
knowing. And
yeah,
me personally, I was kind of blind to this whole situation, but lately we working on getting a home and stuff like that. So like
right.
I'm learning about like hard inquiries, low inquiries, and like, can you explain like what's a hard inquiry, what's a low inquiry? Because I'm just learning about this, because like real talk, and like, because like we about to get a crib, like, so we trying to come get a home, like a house and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So it's like now we kind of gotta watch what we do as far as like using our credit or
yeah,
trying to get something using credit, because it could hurt if it's
yeah,
a hard inquiry, or and like that, like, and I'm sure, like, I think I'm a pretty smart guy, and for
right.
me to be blind to it, I'm sure we got a whole, what I'm saying, slew of people
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of in the
Absolutely.
blind.
Yeah, man. And I want to take this moment to say shout out to our queens, man, because
Hmm.
if it isn't for the queens, a lot of us kings wouldn't be where we are. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? I owe a great amount of, if not damn near all, of homage to my wife for helping to get, us to where we are. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And a lot of times it takes a woman or a partner to be
Hmm.
able to basically exemplify, okay, this is what we need to be doing. So I just wanted to take a moment for that. But what I will say to that is, yeah, there are some credit companies that's like, before they extend a line of credit to you, they may have two different processes. And that process will maybe be like, okay, this may be a hard pull on your credit. Now, a
Okay.
hard pull essentially means that, okay, we're going to pull your credit. You know what I'm saying? We're going to alert the credit bureaus. They're going to know that we pulled your credit. And
Uh-huh.
it's going to show on your credit report that we took a look. You know what I'm saying? And typically, any inquiry that's on your credit will affect you somewhere between 2 and 3 points
Right.
per inquiry. So a lot of times when somebody has 10 inquiries,
Hmm.
that can be 30 points right then and there.
Wow.
But there is a misconception that goes with that too, and I'll get back to that. Then you talk about soft pulls and soft inquiries. Those are things that doesn't really show. When we go on Credit Karma, we do a soft pull all the time.
Hmm.
Shout out to Credit Karma, cut the check. But when it comes to Credit Karma, we do a soft pull or whatever, and at the end of the day, like, that's something that doesn't show on your credit report. There's other companies as well that they basically will allow you and will extend credit based upon other things. You know what I'm saying? Your income, your bank accounts, what that looks like, and things of that nature. So yeah, there is two different types of, uh, so to speak, inquiries
Mm.
when it comes to getting credit extended to you.
Right. Now I know, as far as going to get a car, I know that's a hard inquiry, because
Yes.
I believe like when they run your credit through a bunch of different banks.
Yeah.
So my question is, because I'm not sure, is when they run it through different banks, and is that a hard inquiry on every bank, or just the
Yeah.
whole process is considered?
Yeah. Pretty much it is. But another thing that goes along with that is that leads to that other misconception is the fact that when you're shopping for something,
Hmm.
so like, when you're shopping for a vehicle or a home, a lot of times you need to go through a bunch of different lenders. You need to find out who's going to give you the best rate,
Right.
what's going to be more favorable for you, what terms are going to fit for what you're looking for your family. Uh, and at the end of the day, sometimes, when they run that multiple times,
Hmm.
credit companies are a little bit more favorable to be able to understand the fact that you have so many inquiries in a short amount of time because it's obvious that you were shopping for
Right.
something, you know. But it is a standard that is, widely misunderstood because it's like, well, damn, I built up my credit to be able to use it. Then when I go to use it, it feels like, I'm being punished.
Right.
But if you're shopping all within a certain time frame, you will not be as effective as if you were getting hit with the inquiry.
Right. Like
You know what
with
I'm saying? The
spaces
month
in
to
between the
month
gap. Right,
space.
right.
Yes,
I get it.
precisely.
So like,
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a little like you kind of excuse, so to speak, a little, I guess.
right,
Just
right,
because like
absolutely. Because
it's, go ahead. Go ahead.
just because they understand, like, you may go through a phase in time where it's like, okay, I want to refinance my home,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna want to hit SoFi, Quicken Loans, and all these lenders that may be able to give you a refinance. And you know, a lot of companies will look at that and be like, okay, yeah, at this point in time, because inquiries when they get attached to your report, they also have a date, month and date,
Okay.
so they can backtrack and say, okay, this point in time, this person was probably looking for a home loan or a refinance,
Right.
and it's a little bit more understandable as opposed to them being spaced out.
Right. That's dope. Now, I know just from, watching your page, I know y'all have been helping a lot of people in the
Yeah.
recent years getting into their own homes and stuff of that nature. So my question to you now was, through all of your businesses,
Mhm.
what made you want to get into this field?
That's a good question, and that brings me back to what I was saying earlier about our beautiful queens.
Right.
At the end of the day, um, you know, I met my wife. I like to say probably when I was somewhere between 25 and 26, and when we first got into a relationship, when we were
Right.
we're courting each other and dating. Um, it was kind of weird for me because this was the first woman that kind of was like, okay, we're dating, we're having a good time, and things are starting to get a little more serious. I need to know and understand the financial picture of of your life,
Right.
because if we're to build this life together, it's
Mhm.
gotta mirror, and it's gotta match, and we gotta speak the same tune when it comes to that.
That's
And
tough.
I was kind of taken back because I'm like, well, damn, everybody else just want to go out and have fun, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But my lady on the other hand was, very particular with that, and she was just like, what's your credit like, what's your finances like, so that when we get into this next phase of life, we can build together, we can do things, and we can create and start to master our craft and get to
That's
that
dope.
next level. So to answer that question, essentially, after she helped me rebuild my credit and get to where I needed to be, and I got a more defined understanding of what that was.
Hmm.
Uh, for a long time, we just helped people in our immediate circle
Hmm.
freely. People come to us for advice and things of that nature, like, "Hey, what do I do for this?" Or et cetera, et cetera. And we're like, "Yeah, you could just do this, or you could just do that." And it just kind of became a thing where it was like, well, we're here and we're running and open operating these businesses. This could be another form of business and revenue for us as well. So we decided to go ahead and partner up and uh, become owners of a credit franchise. And that kind of fast forward in time leads us to what we're doing today. So that's essentially, I got into the credit game uh, because of my wife, and
That, that's
it's been a
crazy.
journey.
It's crazy you say that, D, because me personally, I feel like my fiance, because I just got
Mhm.
engaged. So like,
Congratulations,
I appreciate you, my brother. So like, I feel like really since I met her, she saved my life.
bro.
Cause
Man, listen.
D, honestly, I feel like without her, I don't know what I'd be doing today. Cause I was doing a lot of
Right.
knucklehead stuff before I
Hmm.
dealt with her. And just like how you said, like when she asked you about saying, like, I've never in my life planned on owning a home.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy that you say that, and it's like I had that envision in my head that I wanted to own a home, but
right.
I could relate to what you're saying. Like I was the same way before I met her. I did a lot of knucklehead stuff too.
Hmm.
I would blow a lot of money. I would do a lot of things that were not favorable to a financial stable future, and it took that partner, like I was saying earlier, to come along and say, okay, like we need to whip this into shape. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this is how we need to get this into perspective for us to move on and get to that next level. So, a lot of times we in our neighborhood and where
Hmm.
we're from and things of that nature, we lose track of and we lose sight of, that partner and that, that beautiful queen, like I said, or that, that amazing king, because that person could help, open up your perspective to something that you just never
Facts.
really valued. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
that's the truth, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
truth. And like I was saying, like I've like, and then I'm like, now we going through the process. We
Mm-hmm.
gathered our paperwork up and stuff like that. And I'll be
Nice.
sometimes I'm tripping like, wow, like
This is really happening.
really right. It's like really happening. And like
Right.
like I said, like I've known I knew it was possible,
Right.
but I'm like, that's so far fetched. Like, you know what I'm saying? And like now, like, and she been in my ear for like the last couple years, and I'm like, yo, this shit is really something we could have.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
just seems so crazy. And like the closer we get, and it's like it just feels so crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, like we
Yeah.
really right here, like, and
Uh-huh.
it's about to be like a reality. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
it's true.
now we
It's
talking
true.
about like different business ventures and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
This is
You
something we
know,
could really do.
my mentor has told me that sometimes you got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable, you
Mm,
know? So at the end of the day, we're so stuck and on being we're just good with just like, okay, normalcy. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Whatever my parents told me as a kid, go to school, work hard, get good grades, then you get a nice 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that. I
Nothing at
don't want
all.
to say that there's nothing wrong with that. Because before we got into business, we worked 9 to 5. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And we used that to kind of buffer and leverage until we were able to be independent. But I say this to say that, at the end of the day, if everyone who became rich was, if becoming rich was based off or financially free was based off of how hard you work on your 9 to 5, we'd have a lot more millionaires in America, right?
That's a
You
fact.
know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, sometimes people need to think out of the box and be able to add those different streams of revenue and income to be able to support a lifestyle that they want.
Mm,
So it's just one of those things where you always got to be striving for the next step and reaching for the stars. And it could happen. It is very reachable, but we just so comfortable in this roadmap that has been laid out to us by, my auntie and them, my mama
mm-hmm,
and them. So
mm-hmm.
it's like, this is what they did. So this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna be comfortable. Sometimes, you could work, you could be that janitor and then you could still be that entrepreneur. You can be, what I'm saying, that person that's working in finance or accounting or whatever, and still
Right.
be the entrepreneur making your money on the side. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Until what you're doing on the side can then fuel and put that money into your life where it's like, okay, well, I no longer need to work this 9 to 5.
I
I
can
could
live
just
off what.
focus on this.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So, and then we start to get into that asset and liability column, which is big
Right.
because at the end of the day, a lot of us, we work these 9 to 5s and we get into the money trap. So Mel, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this a million times. I've seen it a million times too. A lot of us, we work hard, which is great. You get a promotion, what's the first thing you do? You buy a home. You know what I'm saying? The next thing you do, you get a bigger car. Now, your liability column is growing. Your asset
Mm,
column grew because, you got a promotion. But
right.
as that grows, every time it grows, you adding on new liabilities. And
Right.
then as that grows, you add on another asset. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just all leveling out. You know what I'm saying? So you worked all these years, you did all this stuff to get to this leveled out phase to retire and to live barely on, what I'm saying, Social Security and retirement money
Right.
that's not going to fund the lifestyle that you really want,
Yeah.
right?
Most people
So,
they start like when they retire, they go pick up part-time jobs just to make the ends meet because what they
right,
getting ain't really enough.
right, right. You know what I'm saying? And, it's a roadmap that I just kind of feel needs to be contoured a bit. It needs to be changed, especially with the powerful minds that we have in our community.
Right.
Instead of being so stuck on, some of the superficial things and the materialistic things, we need to figure out, okay, how much money do I need to live on? Okay, what I'm saying? That's the liability. Now let me keep my asset way higher than the liability. Okay, I
Mm,
only need 5,000 to live, and I'm making 10,000, and you got a $5,000 buffer. You know,
right.
and to become financially free, it doesn't mean you have to be rich.
Right.
Honestly, you could have that 5,000, and then your asset column just say 15,000, 20,000 is leveling up, and
Right.
now you can do the things that you want to do. So it's
Mm,
all about the life that you want. You know what
right.
I'm saying? You just have to have your assets outweigh your liabilities. before you go get that new Benz, okay, create that new stream of revenue to be able to pay for that Benz.
Where it ain't
But
killing you.
what we do in our society is we go ahead and we see that stimmy come through, or we see that, you know what I'm saying? We see money come through, and it's like, man, I want to go ahead and go get that.
You
But at the
spend
end
it
of the
before
day,
you touch it.
before you touch it. So
Right.
this is how people get caught up living check to check,
Right.
you know? So, it's a philosophy I feel like a lot more of us need to adapt to, and I think this is very possible for our people. And I think that, again, like I said, we got some of the strongest minds on this planet, and if we were to collectively, move towards this motion, like, I mean, we'd be unstoppable. We can grow
That's so
beyond,
dope.
beyond levels of thinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
As a people, yeah,
Yo, that is so dope, D. That's so dope. And all facts too, my bro.
yeah,
That's just straight facts. Like people just love to live outside of they means, like,
right.
and it's crazy, like, and like you said, you see it all the time.
Hmm.
You see it all the time. You see the dudes with the Benzes still living in the place. And there's nothing against it if you can afford it,
Yeah,
but make it make sense. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Make it make sense.
yeah.
So with that being said, D, you you said you own about what? You said 10 businesses?
Well, no, I wish. No, not 10, not 10 businesses, but my wife and I, we're probably running somewhere between, we're running about 5 businesses right now, 5 and 6.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's dope. That's
yeah,
dope. So if you don't mind, can we get a little bit into some of the other things you do?
yeah, sure. So like I said, I've always had the entrepreneur mind from young. So, one of the first things I got into, like I said, I latched onto a mentor at 12 years old. Um, Another guy from the hood as well. I always pay homage. Um, he basically took me in. Again, my mom did a great job. Love my mom Dukes, to death.
Mama
Uh,
love.
yeah, mama love. But my mom worked at 3 to 11. So when she was in that 3 to 11, that's the time when kids get out of school. And I was one of those kids that was basically like, okay, I could be raised by the streets, during that time.
Right.
So, I did get into some chippy stuff in the streets, but I also latched on to a good mentor, and he showed me a lot about business. Um, and took me under his wing and taught me about, a lot of good things. He taught me some bad things as well. He showed me the good, the bad, the ugly. Um, and when it was time for me to kind of move on my own, do my own thing, the first thing I did was opened up a security company
Mm,
in New York City. So we started off doing that, providing, guard services, CCTV and alarm services for other companies, and basically venues and things of that nature. But it definitely started out only with the guard services. The CCTV and alarm services came down the line. Um, Fast forward in time, my wife and I, we met. Again, I'm getting around that phase where I'm like, okay, I was doing good. I'm making the money and things of that
right.
nature, but I wasn't spending it right. I wasn't managing it correctly. And my wife came along and kind of helped steer me in the right direction.
That's dope.
We got my credit right. I learned about credit. Um, she poured a lot into me, man, and I really appreciate that. So, from there we were able to come together and buy our first investment property. So we got into real estate.
Mm,
Um, then I'd say so. We did that for so quite some time, because becoming a landlord and
right.
learning the ins and out of that side of things is kind of it's a large undertaking. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Then around that time, fast forward in time a little bit, we added on the camera services and alarm services to the security business. I would say almost simultaneously to the real estate. Um, from then, we decided to move a little further down south and kind of get a little more bang for our buck in terms of our living space,
Right.
which has been a blessing. We then opened up a mental health business,
Mm,
catering to IDD clients and things of that nature.
that's dope.
Um, yeah, in addition to that, My wife is an amazing interior design
Yes, she is.
artist. You know what I'm saying? Like I would say, like
Yes.
she's like an artist.
Yeah,
You
she
know what I
get
mean?
busy.
Yeah, she do her thing. You know what I'm saying? So anybody watching this, you want an interior decorator,
Yeah, get
definitely
busy.
holler at me. I'll get you in touch with MJ Designs, my wife Maggie Jones. But as you can see from my backdrop, she definitely does her thing. So we moved into our community, and literally like some of the neighbors stopped by at the house, and it's like, oh wow, this is
Mm,
now she done did 3-4 houses in the community.
right.
So now that's a design business. So we're doing that. And I'm
That's
and,
dope.
and I'm her junior design artist. So, I'm like the guy in that commercial for Planet Fitness. I pick things up and put them down whenever she tells me, what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like her assistant with that. And
That's
and
dope.
it's amazing to just kind of see her work and operate in her space because she really has a vision with that as well. Um, so we're doing that, and then all this time we're helping people with credit. We're helping, friends, family, things of that nature, like just on the arm. You know what I'm saying? And something hit us and say, you know what, this is something we could turn into a viable business.
Right.
And actually again, she brought it to me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, let's check it out. And we said, let's dive in and do it. And we started doing it, and it's been pretty lucrative for us so far. So that's how we ended up getting into the space.
That's dope. Now, to get back to the credit thing, how long y'all been doing that with the credit?
Well, essentially since I was 20, 26, 27, we were doing it,
Wow.
helping people out, stuff like that. But as an actual business, we've been doing it since last year. So you're looking at, probably somewhere around February of last year.
Wow, that's dope. And from what I've seen, y'all been helping a lot of people. So y'all been
Oh
busy
man.
this last year.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, like it just hit like that, So I tell people sometimes, like, don't worry about the no's that you get, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, a lot of people gonna tell you no. People
right,
are apprehensive. This is we're in the age of information, and people are working remotely, and there's a lot of scammers and all this nonsense. But
right, right.
in the same token, every no that you get, it just equals next opportunity. That's what no stands for. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
you gotta take that opportunity as a learning experience and win every conversation. And it just takes a couple yeses, man. It takes a couple yeses. So, we got some yeses, and we started working and grinding, and clients are gaining, over 100 points, 4 months. Some clients, 120 something points in 5, 6 months, and this thing is kind of building momentum. So the social medias is turning up and things of that nature, and people are really just seeing what we do. And we just pride ourselves on offering a good service and just
Mm,
helping the people. You know what I mean?
that's dope.
There's millions of people. I'm talking about high 40, 50, 60 million people a day that need help with credit repair. You
Facts.
know, this is not just something that's like, okay, I'm selling you vacation, or I'm selling you insurance. Like,
Right,
you got to go through us essentially to get to the things that you need in life. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
You want to put those big boy or big girl pants on, you got to get this right to do the next move, right? So, I mean, it's a need, and it's something that we're providing, and it's been good, and I love it. A part of it to me kind of feels like, I know that essentially, we are making money from it, but in the same token, I feel like we're affecting, our community positively, and I
Right.
feel like it is a thing where, we're giving back, and it's awesome. It's a good feeling, to see some of the success stories. I had a client that I signed up. I had a client I signed up in December. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm not gonna say his name or where he's from. I won't put his business out there. But
Yeah, we can keep
client I
that
signed up.
quiet.
Yeah, we keep that quiet. I had a client I signed up in December. The guy had a 545 credit score. He said, "Man, I got 5 kids. He's in a 2-bedroom home with his wife. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
The CO. You know what I'm saying?" And he's like, "Yo, D, I just need 100 points for my lender to be at that 640, so that I can, get a bigger home for me and my
right.
family." He signed up in December. Melly, no lie, about 3 weeks ago, he hit me and he said, "Yeah, I'm all set. Man, thank you." He's thanking me, sending me pictures of, him signing contracts and everything. I'm like, what's going on? He said, I gained 105 points from then till now. This is 3 weeks ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in a short amount of time, he was able to accomplish his dream of, getting that bigger home for him and his children. And I mean, you can't quantify how that makes you feel inside as a person.
It gotta
Me
be a
and my
great
wife
feeling,
helping him.
bro.
It's a great feeling. You
That's
know what I'm
dope.
saying? Because again, he's from our demographic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And just to be able to pour that value into another household is big.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's crazy. I get goosebumps talking about it. Like I like, honestly, man, if I could see everyone from our community just get on, do right, do good, like I'm like a super positive energy dude. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's one of the key reasons I want to bring you up here, D, because I see what y'all doing. And I'm like,
Appreciate that.
and when I see it, I'm like, yo, this is stuff that our community need. And just from me having a conversation, just here and there with people, and I'm like, yo, a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah.
So like, I felt like this was a great opportunity to put the information out there,
Hmm.
and for somebody who might not know, just to inform them.
Yeah.
To where like after this, who knows who's going to reach out after watching this, like to try to get themselves together. But like,
Hmm.
because we try to be, I know I am.
Right.
Know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's a few others who want to make the move but don't feel that they could.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just that lack, sometimes it's just a lack of information that's holding people back. Like they
Yeah.
just don't know. So like
Yeah.
that's why I
Truly.
kind of want, but that's why I wanted to bring you on to share the information. Know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I know just from knowing you personally, I know you're gonna give the correct information and it ain't gonna be no, for lack of better words, bullshit.
Right.
Know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I hold no punches, man. I keep it a stack. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like,
right.
and if I know, I know. If I don't know, I don't know. This is a journey for us as well. So, I don't know everything about credit. I'm not gonna sit up here and make it seem that way. But I know a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot from, my clients, and I've learned a lot from my wife mainly. To start, she kind of started me on this journey, and I mean, at the end of the day, like we could all learn together, and it just
Mm,
goes back into collective culture. Like I'm not afraid of another man or another woman building their empire next to mine. We could all build our empires simultaneously. You know what I'm
mm,
saying?
right.
So, we need to become more collective and less individualistic. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are about me, as opposed to
Mm,
we, you
facts.
know? Why can't we get 10 of us together to be able to buy a building? Why can't we, pool our money, and susus and things of that nature and buy up some of these franchises? We have the same ability and we can do it. It's just like you said, people need the information and they need to
Yeah,
be able to see like minds, like faces, you know what I'm saying? And say, okay, wow, these brothers is doing it or these sisters is doing it, and I could do it too, right?
exactly. Exactly.
So, and this is what it's all about at the end of the day. Forget about money, forget about accolades, forget about everything. If my wife and I can leave that legacy on the culture where it's like, okay, before they got up out of here, they did all these great things for the community.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sign me up, boot me up. That's what I'm here for. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Definitely.
So, I'm really happy to be able to come on a podcast like this and to just be able to give whatever information I can give, and hopefully it'll impact somebody in a positive manner. You know what I'm saying?
Dope. That's dope. And like you said, sometimes it takes seeing people with that same skin complexion or where you
Yeah,
from doing it. Cause
yeah,
sometimes you see it and you're like, well, they not from where we from. They ain't have to go through what we went through. But when you see people that's from where you from making them
yeah,
big moves or getting homes and stuff of that nature, it's like, wow, like that could really be done. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And
Yeah, it's absolutely
and
true.
that's what it's all about. Like be inspiring. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. Nah, yeah, I concur. At the end of the day, I didn't think a lot of this stuff would be possible either. But it's all about blueprints and roadmaps. It depends on where you fall in your journey. If you want, that life of normalcy, fine. The world needs someone in every lane. You know, it's either you're gonna be cleaning the kitchen or you're gonna own the kitchen. That's just
Mm.
how it is. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So who
tough.
you want to be? You want
That's
to flip
tough.
the burgers or you want to make the menu? You want to be the person that own the building, So, a lot of those people who give up on their dreams, they end up getting hired by the person who didn't. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
That's a fact.
So
That's a
the
fact.
world needs everything. It's no shade towards anybody because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, whether you're at the top or the bottom, the world needs both people, right?
That void is gonna be filled whether it's you or somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all about having that mentality and saying, okay, I want to take this thing to the next level, and to make it more than what we're all supposed to. In my opinion,
Hmm.
we're all supposed to carry that torch. We're supposed to. Like I said, my mom came here, 4 children, no furniture, no nothing, from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? Not even a high school diploma at that time.
Right.
And sent for my siblings one by one and got it popping. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. That's
By
dope.
herself, and
That's
and
dope.
and built something for us. And the number one thing she took serious for us was going to school every day. Now, what kind of son would I be if I only took that and kept it in that square, right? I need to go on and take that energy, that legacy, that oomph that she gave us, and
Right.
then take it to the next level, right? And this is where the generational wealth happens, because yeah, we're making strides and we're doing the things that we want to do, which is great,
Right.
but we're not going to be able to do that forever, right? So essentially, my daughter, my son, our kids, they'll be able to carry this torch and go to that next level, and it's important that we educate our youth to make sure that the future looks a lot brighter. And with that
Hmm.
said, I want to go back to this credit thing. So a lot of things that happens with us and our communities is that our parents, sometimes they put those bills, like you said earlier, in our
Right.
names, and they mess it up and tarnish our records from young. We need to kind of change that. We need to change that story, and we need to start taking those positive trade lines that we have on our credit and adding our kids to those,
Right.
so that
Facts.
by the time that they 17, 18, 19, 20, okay, you had this card for these many years, or that
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
history,
Right.
for all this time, to be able to take your score to the next level. And for those who don't know, trade lines are basically any account that gets added onto your credit report that shows history, right? So just to
Good or
simplify
bad.
it, good or bad,
Right.
good or bad. So just to simplify it, like if I have an account that has 10,000 on it, that has a 10,000 a credit limit on it,
Right.
and I've had that account for 10 years, I'm allowed, depending on what company I'm with, to be able to add authorized users to that account. Now, it doesn't necessarily
Mm.
mean that
Okay.
they're able to swipe my card and use the card, but it means that they're authorized as a user. What that does for them is that now my account that has the 10,000,
Right.
that has 10 years of history, now shows on that person's account. So essentially, like, if I have a son or a daughter or a family member that says, okay, you got this $10,000 account, I can go ahead and then allow them to borrow that history onto their account
So
by
building their
adding them
credit
as
up.
a yeah, by adding them as an authorized user. Because again, if we go back to some of the biggest misconceptions, where people are like, well, I ain't got no credit. No credit is good credit. No, that's wrong. You need some type of history.
Right.
And in the same token, this is a way that you can kind of jumpstart your kids, or whoever. But
Right.
we're talking about the children and the youth right now. So this is a way to jumpstart them with some positive credit coming out. It's supposed to put in cable vision or Con Ed or Spectrum or whatever it is under their name and jamming
Right.
them up.
Mm.
So these are some of the things that we need to start doing, and the ways we got to start thinking, for some of our positive people, because at the end of the day, even though the negative may stop happening, some of
Right.
the people that are able to make that way out, or may be able to have that positive mindset, we need to add the children to some of these positive trade lines, so that by the time they able to go off,
Give them a head
they're
start.
they're well off. They're good. You know what I'm saying? So but what I will say about trade lines is that, if you do decide to add a trade line to your account, you want to make sure that because it's not indefinite and it's not forever, you want to
Okay.
make sure the person that has the trade line is taking care of that trade line, because if it goes negative or it defaults, that also will go on your credit history as well. And you want to add that, when you're ready to bust a move. So if you're ready to go for a house and you need a trade line and you have a family member or somebody that can help you out with that, yeah, go ahead and add it, but add it around, 2, 3 months before you're ready to make your move, so it can give you that credit buffer to get better APRs on your rate and your rates and things of that nature.
Now that's dope. Now
Yeah.
and that's something that I really had no idea you could do.
hmm
Now that's
hmm
dope. And
Yeah,
and that,
man,
and
it's
that's
crazy.
pretty cool to do as far as for the kids. Like especially if you handling your business and
Yeah,
paying when you're supposed to be paying, like you could build their credit up to where like they can have a crazy score fresh out
yeah,
of high school.
yeah,
Know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. My wife and I, we sit down, my daughter, and we teach her about these things, and we explain to her, how to use credit, and we explain to her about, usage guidelines and what to do, what not to do, things of that nature. So it's like when she graduates high school and is in college and they at those tables with those credit cards, she knows
Right,
what time it is, where it's like, okay, my parents showed me about this. I've been added to multiple trade lines. I already
right,
got a 700 or whatever score. You know
right.
what I'm saying? I'm good. You know what I mean? And
Eh,
she's not getting kind of sidetracked, because this is not anything they teach in school.
right. Yeah, they
They're
really
not
need to
showing
have this
you.
in the class. They really need to have this in the classroom.
Yeah. When I sit up here and say, man, I didn't learn about this thing. I knew about credit in general, like as a thing, but I didn't learn until I
Hmm.
got into this serious relationship, which then became my marriage. And, it's a shame, because I've had so many influences in my life, both positive and negative, and none of them really taught me that, you know? So, only thing I've ever heard about credit was never miss a payment. That was it.
Yeah, and
You know,
always pay more than the minimum.
always pay more than the minimum.
Always
Yes,
pay more than the
yes,
minimum. Always pay
yes,
more than the minimum. That's
yeah,
dope, D. So
yeah.
with that being said, um, any last thoughts you want to put out there before we close out?
Oh, to close out, again, I just want to kind of keep it on. I want to kind of keep it on, the same message that I've been pitching all night is, unity, camaraderie, coming
Definitely,
together, being more collective, stop face fighting each other in our neighborhoods. And when there's a bigger war going on, stop killing each other over stimulus checks and all this nonsense. Like, I mean, it's foolishness. You know what I'm saying? We need to
definitely.
come together, build, unite, and rise above a lot of this stuff that's going on, because honestly, we're bigger than this. Our forefathers and mothers who fought for us to be able to have these liberties, didn't want us to kind of be this way. And
Right.
it's sad when there's other things going on in the world, and we're being subjected to the same nonsense, in our neighborhood. So
Right.
now I just would, really like for us to kind of, step up and get on the right page and build. And you want a better situation, make a better situation. Nobody
Facts.
gonna lay down and
Facts.
give you nothing. Nobody gonna lay down and give you nothing.
Got to earn it.
Anything we want in this lifetime, we gotta step up and take it. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that should be the mentality I feel, you know. And yeah, man, let's just keep grinding and taking this thing to the top.
That's dope, D. So give them information as far as how to contact you if in case somebody want to get their credit together and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Let's not leave without that being on deck.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
We don't
absolutely.
share all
I
this information. We might as well put that out there in case somebody want to, you know what I mean, get
yeah,
busy.
yeah, for sure, man. So our Instagram handle is every_body_Jones. Same handle on Twitter, same handle on Clubhouse. Uh, you can also reach me at Jones 2086 at yahoo.com. That's my email. And basically, anybody that's interested in credit repair and what we do, I'm more than happy to take you on. And anyone that comes from the M3L podcast, what I'm gonna do tonight, I'm gonna make sure I can do this before, what I'm saying. Let me just take a look at this right here. Anybody that comes to the M3L podcast tonight, what I'm saying, we'll go ahead and give them a discount on their services. So all you got to do is hit me and say, hey, I saw you on the podcast. What I'm saying? The code word is going to be M3L. And I'll make sure I take care of the people because that's what we do.
That's fucking dope, D. Yo, so on that note, we out of here. Love is love. Y'all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the M3L podcast. Love is love. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.